One of the cool things about having D-Rock now document, I was saying backstage how much I wish that I've been vlogging when I started at Wine Library, because I think it would be important for everybody here to have the context of watching 10 years of working in a liquor store every single day for 15 hours a day in a vlog. You've heard the story, you know my background, but the reality is it's very hard to quantify unless you see it or you feel it. There's legitimately, how many people here under 35? Raise your hands. Yeah, I mean, like, the level of disrespect I have for anybody under 35 that wants it tomorrow is so high, in a good way. I'm not mad at you. I just think that it's a very interesting time to be alive because the internet gives us opportunity for things to happen quick, but the reality is the people in this room that will win are the ones that take it slow. I think my energy and the way I roll speaks to a lot of fast-paced stuff. But if you really peel away what I'm talking about, it's just super old school. I very much more associate with 70 and 80-year-olds than I do with 20 and 30-year-olds about the way this goes down. And so if I could say anything, it's the following. There's no system, there's no process, there's no thing that's gonna make it happen faster. There's only a couple of tried and true things. Number one, if you don't provide real, actual value to people in exchange for the money that you're asking for in return, you will lose over time. It happens every time. You might be able to make some quick cash, but you will never win long term, and you will go through the same shit over and over. There are plenty of 30, 40, 50-year-olds in here who go up and down, up and down, up and down, because their stuff is horse shit. And it's not coming from the right place, and they're looking to make a quick buck, and some character on stage says that they got a process that's gonna make it happen fast, and they're wrong. So that's number one. Number two, you're living in a time where you're competing against everybody else. Let me just make this perfectly clear. As fucking awesome as it is that it doesn't cost anything to produce content and put it on the social web, you're competing with everybody else. When I take out my phone and I go through Instagram and Facebook, I'm not just competing with people that write business books or put out entrepreneurial content. I'm competing with people that talk about football and milk and parenting and gardening and the news and the weather. There is one stream, and we're all competing for that attention. So I highly recommend that what you put out has a chance of succeeding while you also put out as much content as possible to break through. Let me break down what I believe in, and then I really want to go into Q&A. I believe that there's only one thing that connects every single person in this room, which is, at the end of the day, it is our job to storytell to other human beings what our spiel is about, and then we want something to happen. Right? You may be trying to raise money for the PTA, or you may be running for mayor, or you might be trying to sell sneakers, or a program, or a process, or your music, or your art. But at the end of the day, the only thing that every single person here is actually combined by is that you're fighting for somebody's attention, and then you have to say something, and then you're hoping something that happens. What I have done really well in my career is that I've always been really good at intuitively understanding where people's attention was when most of the people in this room didn't yet. I launched an e-commerce business in 1996 when people thought selling wine on the internet was crazy. There are people in this room, and definitely the parents of people in this room, that thought the internet was a fad. That was a real conversation. There's a lot of youngsters in here, but for some of us with a little more gray hair, the internet being a fad was a real conversation in 1992, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, would it even be around, right? Then I did email marketing. How many people here have done email marketing in their careers? Perfect. In 1996-7, I had an email newsletter of 200,000 people buying wine with 91% open rates. Not because I'm so great, but because nobody was doing it. And that's what it was. It wasn't that there was such good headline writing. It wasn't that it was so smart. It was that nobody was doing email marketing. And how many people here were on email in 1997? Raise your hands. Raise them higher. So all of you remember what I remember about email 1997, which is We read every fucking word of every single email. It's what we did because it was just supply and demand, right? Like you treated it like actual mail. You're like, fuck, I better read this. Free money from the Congo? Cool. You know, like literally. Then Google AdWords came out. The day Google AdWords came out, I started buying wine terms on it for 5 cents a click. And I owned those terms for almost a year before anybody bid me up. So while most people didn't even know it existed, I was arbitraging people's attention because I thought people were searching, and I was extracting sales. This is a game and a system, by the way, that is free, $0 that will always be tried and true. Where is the attention of the end consumer? Where do most people think it is? Meaning that's overpriced. As we stand here today, print ads, radio ads for the most part, television, billboards, direct mail, a ton of programmatic banners and other digital assets on the internet. And where is it underpriced? As we sit here today, no matter what you sell, Facebook, Instagram influencers, Snapchat, filter, open marketplace if you're marketing to people under 30. And where is it going to go very soon? That it's not 5 or 10 years away. Consumer virtual reality is far away. Do you need to make your products and service map to that? I don't think so, not for next year or the year after. But is Alexa voice and Alexa skills, is podcasting as a media company or as advertising, is that here at scale? Very close. And here, if you're doing podcast advertising, and definitely if you're good enough to be a podcast. So basically, here's what I think. I think that information is commoditized. There's so much information on the internet. It's hard to sell information, in my opinion, and feel good about it because there's so much of it. There's a reason my content is free. It's because the supply and demand of content is harder than ever to sell and differentiate if you want to feel great about it because there's so much content. Is your $300 thing actually available for 4 hours of Google searching? Is your $100 thing actually available for $9? The answer is yes. I'll save you time as you debate it. So that's what I think about. I think that it runs tried and true for everybody. I think there's a couple things that really make sense to me, like this rule. You know zero people that actually created wealth. I don't mean your lucky friend who inherited his grandmother's money. I mean, you don't know anybody on earth that created an actual business and made wealth without working their fucking face off. There is no such thing as passive income. It doesn't exist. You might have something that's working for a little while because you did landing page optimization and you figured out how to arbitrage Google for a few seconds, aka a couple years, but that will go away when Google changes its algorithm, or when people go to mobile devices, or when Facebook becomes more important, which means it was working for 24 months or 16, but now it's not, which is everything but passive because you start building your life on it, and then when shit hits the fan, you have to adjust, and it really fucks you up. So these are the big things that I think about, which is why are so many people looking for shortcuts when life is long? Why are people not willing to do the tried and true thing when if you just audit every single situation, it's always the same thing, which is the people that run marathons win, and the people that are running sprints lose. And it's because people lack patience. People are seduced by stuff. People make all their decisions on short-term money because they want stuff. People are insecure and want a posture in front of other people that they're successful. There's just a million fucking reasons why you do it, but it just doesn't make it right. So I'm on a little bit of a mission. You know, like my big thing is I build other businesses, and then the Gary Vee stuff is kind of like out there and does its thing. Sure, it leads to opportunities, but for me, I'm on a mission for legacy around this. I'm not, you know, I'll get paid to come and speak. I'll write my books, but I'm not trying to create content as a top of the funnel thing to sell something at scale. I'm not against that. I know the far majority of people want to do that. Mazel tov, knock yourself out. It's just not the way I see it, because I don't think that's how the trends play out. And if you're good enough, you don't need it. So these are the things that keep playing over and over in my mind, over and over in my mind, over and over in my mind. Stakes are high, opportunities very high, the competition is real. Every single person in this room is competing with each other, no matter how they position or slightly position it, because we're going into an attention battle. We only have so much attention. Time is the asset. Uber, one of the great misses of my career, because I passed on the angel round twice, and that $50,000 investment would be worth $300 million, and that fucking pisses me off. Uber, I misunderstood because I thought that Uber was selling transportation, but what I realized when I invested it a little bit later, so I'll do okay, is that Uber sells time. And even funnier, Uber sells the perception of time. You think you're gonna, I mean, I stand in New York City all the time waiting for my Uber, watching cabs drive by me. So I'm fascinated by consumer trends. I absolutely think about always, what do people actually do? Why are you doing what you do? Why are people in this room going hiking, going to conferences, going to Coachella, going to matches, just so they can take the selfie and show people what they're doing? What's that about? Does that mean event marketing is more important than ever? It does. We are doing more stuff than ever now because we are painting our lives to people through our pictures more than ever, thus forcing us to do shit just for the picture. How do you think about these things at a macro is very important to me. It's a super important thing of how I think about the psychology of human beings. So much of what I actually do, and you can see the tone that I've brought here tonight. I want you to understand why I do the things I do, because I know that the tactics I've laid out over and over and over and over again, you guys can verbatim repeat some of my shit. You need to understand why. Because the only thing that will ever have value is if you understand people and you try to desperately figure out how to provide them more value than you're asking for them in return. And that is where almost everybody breaks. Everybody is selfish. You want the money. You want the thing. You don't want to provide more value than that thing is worth. You actually want to do it the other way. And by the way, when I say you, I'm not talking about this room, I'm just talking about the whole fucking game. Everybody. It's why so few people break through, because when everybody's doing the same shit, they don't win. And all these systems look the fucking same. And they all do the same thing, and it forces everybody into the same behavior. And then there's a reason why a few people break through, because they go the other way. Everybody goes left, a couple people go right. That's where all the fucking action is. All the action is in one place. In a world where everybody is creating content for the internet, which is where everybody's eyes are, over and over, only a few can break through because they're providing more value in return, and they have patience to not ask for money in the upfront, but they actually build something and then are able to extract value later. So that's it, super basic. That's how I think about it. I don't think we're going backwards. I think what I just talked about is getting compoundly worse and more optimistic. It depends on where you are. You'll get more value if you overprovide. You'll get less value if you follow the masses. I think that it's really hard to be patient. I'm empathetic. You may have debt. You may have things you want to do. I'm super empathetic. I really am. The problem is it doesn't change the reality of what it is. I don't know what else to say. And I want to remind everybody, you can say easy for you to say, Gary V, da-da-da. I just want to remind everybody, I only give advice that I ate. From 20 to 32 for 12 years of my life, I worked 7 days a week in a liquor store every fucking day and gave up everything. I worked 16 hours a day, every single day. I did not have one Saturday off in my 20s. None. Biggest day of the week. None.